Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy, sounds like he's around 40 years old. And he's going to share his story about events that happened like 20 years ago when he was back in college. You're going to see, guys, that this guy is ultimately going to have the last laugh in life, even though back in college, you never thought that was ever possible. You're going to see that he is actually one of my married subscribers who's happily married, loves his wife, has a daughter really loves, things are going good. But back in college, he obviously didn't have the knowledge he has today, made a ton of mistakes that definitely deserves a lot of smacks, and learned many hard lessons that I talk about all the time. Lessons like you always look for red flags, you always trust your gut, listen to your gut, you cut people out of your life, whether it be friends, family, and girlfriends especially, if they do you wrong. Have the ability to stand up for yourself, make yourself out to be the best you can be, that way you don't allow people like that in your life, and so on and so forth. Once a cheater, always a cheater, all those things. But you're going to see, like I said, guys, in the end, he learns the hard way, but does better and is doing well now. And the people that did him wrong, these different girls he goes out with, that he talks about, their lives are pretty much, in the gutter. So it's a nice thing to hear about. So a lot of lessons in this story I think you guys will definitely enjoy. And for those who like to see me smack people and they act like boneheads when they're younger, you'll appreciate this too. So it starts off, he says, Dear SSM, I was recently made aware of your channel thanks to my wife. Hi, sweetie, if you're watching. She started me off with this current 6-partner wife from hell video, and I've since watched various other videos and feel compelled to tell you my story, as like you, I believe knowledge is power, and the more guys read and hear of these experiences, the better armed they'll be if they encounter them themselves. Yes, knowledge is power. Learn something new every day, guys, and you'll be in a better place. And by the way, shout out to his wife for sending him to my channel. Not often do you hear that, all right? She must be all right. He says, feel free to editorialize as you see fit if you decide to use my story. I fully expect some smacks, and I'll accept, but bear in mind how naive I was and inexperienced back then. That I'm going to lay out just before we get into my story. Yeah, well, you know what? I was inexperienced. I made tons of mistakes. And if I can go back in time, I'd smack the shit out of myself too. So, I'll admit, absolutely, I made mistakes too. That's how you learn. Some background on me first. I've always been the shy, socially awkward, introverted, geeky guy. Not the D&D cosplaying type of nerd, but the kind of guy that likes gaming, tech, sci-fi programs, and literature, as well as going to sci-fi conventions to collect autographs, so this immediately puts me at a disadvantage when it comes to girls. Well, that's the thing. Nowadays, you actually have girls that are into that stuff. Go figure. But 20-some years ago, not as many, by any means. My father is the strong, silent type. He has the authority and last word in the home, but he never ever talked with us kids about love, sex, or relationships, so I was quite literally alone to figure all this out on my own. A mistake I don't plan to make with my kids. Good. Teach your kids. Teach them all the things you learn the hard way. You're doing them a disservice if you don't help them. I had an awesome dad, and he was an old school guy. He was in the military. I said in the video I did earlier today, he was actually fought in World War II. I'm of his second family. He was born in 1922. I'm 45. And while he taught me a lot of things, I actually didn't want to take his advice oftentimes about girls because it was what I didn't want to hear. I kid you not. He told me early on, the first time a girl broke up with me and broke my heart, he told me, you should have lots of girlfriends. In other words, don't get all bent out of shape over one chick. I didn't listen. I wish I listened to him, but I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. By the time I was at university at 20 years old, I had only kissed 2 girls. Both the girls I was not attracted to and was under peer pressure, alcohol. So you had to get out of your system. Hell, there are guys much older than that ever kiss girls. I went through nearly the entirety of my first 2 years having no success with women. Then comes along Stephanie, or as I like to call her, the lying, cheating SLUT. Ouch. She had been dating a friend of mine for a while, but broke up with him long before I started dating her. This did not stop him from becoming a total douchebag to me and forcing me out of my friend group I had had for a long time. And he continued to be a frequent a-hole if I ever happened to cross him. Well, you can't blame him for being pissed if you guys were friends and down the road you were dating the girl that broke up with him. I mean, bros before hoes, you know? Now, I don't know the whole story, and I don't know the length of time, but generally, if it's a buddy or especially someone close, you just don't go there. She was still in high school at the time, 16, and had been dating an old school friend of mine, blah, blah, blah. We went on a few dates together, and after a few months became exclusive. Things were good in our relationship for the first year and a half. Well, things are always good in the beginning. However, her mother was extremely overbearing and controlling. I remember one time we were 15 minutes late getting home after a movie once, and our mom chewed her out for right then and there at the doorstep, saying she was grounded 1 week for every minute she was late. This didn't stick well, but it made me think, what a crazy B problem. Obviously, her mother's controlling behavior made it difficult to have intimacy, but we did what we could. We both lost our virginity together and lived a life of romance. Her mother warmed up to us being together and even called me son. A life of romance, huh? Says here her father wasn't a very assertive man. He was much older than her mother and seemed almost like a beaten, broken man. Well, that kind of makes sense to me, actually, given how you're describing the mother, controlling, bossing, all that. They even slept in separate rooms. There you go. But he wasn't a bad man and didn't really bother with us. We come to the end of her high school period and into my final year at university. She applied to and got accepted into the same university that I was studying at, and I was delighted because I figured now she'll be free of her domineering mother and we can have as much time together. Yeah, she'll be free of her mom, who she's been kept under her thumb forever, and now girls like that typically go buck wild in college. Can you guess what's going to happen? She applied to live at the university accommodation, same as me, not the same block, and mixed floors weren't allowed. I was the RA, so I had the privileges of a double bed. We all had other students, and they had singles, where all the other students had single beds. Things were great for a while, but then came Matthew. He lived on the floor below her in the same block. He seemed like an okay guy. A bit more on the nerdier side than me, with emo hair, same age as her, and we hung out as friends. I thought nothing more about it. Your girl should not be hanging out with other dudes. That is a deal breaker. End of freaking story. And a lot of guys don't know that, and a lot of guys don't have the balls to enforce it. Don't have the ability to walk away. If you're not hanging out with other girls, why should you be hanging out with other dudes? After a while, I tried getting her to stay over in my block overnight, but she never would. I chalked it up to having never shared a bed. I had a double remind you. Someone overnight, and it would just come in time. You mean to expect me to believe that the reason she didn't want to sleep over in your bed after you guys been dating for a couple of years and living a life of romance, as you said, is because, she never did it before, she was a little nervous, whatever? Bullshit. She didn't want to. Okay, come on. If she's in love with you the way that you wanted her to be, she'd be taking every opportunity to stay in your bed, especially if it's a double, to be with the guy she was in love with. One day I went over to her block, to her floor, to hang out. I asked the other gals in her apartment where she was, and they said they thought she was downstairs hanging out with Matthew. Ah, old Matthew, huh? I went downstairs to look for her, knocked on Matthew's door, and heard him say, "Come in." There were the two of them in bed. They were fully clothed under the covers. Right then and there, I should have said F-U-B and walked away. But young, naive me and first girlfriend, I'd smack myself now. Yeah, smack. That should have been it. End of story. I don't care if they were fully clothed or not. Your girl's there with another dude in his room, door shut, under the covers, and even if you didn't walk on him butt naked at all, still the level of disrespect. I mean, come on, they're a little too comfortable together. Why do you think that is? The problem is, this guy doesn't know. All right? She's not wanting to be into bed with you, to sleep over your apartment. That says everything you need to know about her. She's spending all this time with the other guy. Okay? Now she's undercovers of the bed. And women test barriers. Like, okay, what else can I get away with here? Now she knows she can get away with this, and you'll still keep her around. Come on, dude. The signs are right there. And I know you know this now. But I'm saying this so other guys can learn. He should have dropped her like that. End of freaking story. She told me they were just watching a movie and under the covers because it was cold. Then put on a jacket. And you shouldn't be hanging out with him in his place or hanging out with him anyway, because guess what? You don't see me hanging out with other girls. I let it go and we continued. Smack. You were just inviting her to shit on you. That's what you were doing. Over the coming months, you spend more and more time with Matthew. Imagine that. You let her get away with being under the covers. She's like, okay, he's not checking me on this, so I can pull more bullshit. Going to the computer labs late at night, sometimes an ID tag along, for him to do work, and they were on different courses, so what she got out of it raised eyebrow. Dude, they're obviously hooking up. I ended up talking to some of Matthew's housemates at one point, and they told me she would come down fairly often at night, let me guess, to watch TV, but always be under the covers because they were cold, and stay in his room, and she said that we were in an open relationship. There you go. Just so there's no issues or anything like that. Again, when you should have broken up with her before, but now you certainly should have broken up with her. I was pissed at this, ended up confronting her. Well, at least he did that. I told her I wasn't happy with her staying in his bed, at least of all, when she wouldn't spend the time in mine. She pawned me by saying it was just because they were both having trouble sleeping, and because they're both up, they just should hang out and watch movies, and I let it go, and again, I get a smack myself. Yeah, smack. But you can see, guys, here, because he's had no other girlfriends before, and he believes we're living a life of romance, amongst many other things, he just doesn't want to accept the obvious, right? The thing is, some people become so blinded by the affection of another, or they're just, they don't know anything else. They just put up with this shit. And remember, women can't love a guy they don't respect. So when you allow her to treat you like this, with disrespect, amongst many other things, her respect for him is just getting lower and lower and lower. And the more her respect drops, the more disrespect comes his way. That's the common theme to all these stories. Not long after, I booked to go to a sci-fi con and was going with a mutual friend of ours. Now you're hanging out with another girl. At least you're balancing things out a bit. It involved staying the whole weekend, so I let her know to save us both money, and we were going to get a twin hotel room. She then had the cheek to get pissed with me for having to go with her for sleeping in the same bed as Matthew when I was going for a whole weekend and will be sleeping in the same room as our mutual friend Sarah Lou. And I said, I pointed out that A, I wasn't a committed monogamous man, B, I had no interest in this girl, and C, I let her know that we were doing a courtesy she hadn't afforded me, and D, if she wasn't happy, we'd get separate rooms. So this girl's hanging out with Matthew, sleeping under his covers because they're cold watching movies, but you do the same thing, but not actually under the covers, and you're the bad guy. She told me it was fine. Bullshit. But it still felt like I had a cheek doing it. A cheek doing it. Clearly this guy's not an American. Eventually Matthew came to me one evening to talk about the bedding situation. I told him I didn't like it. It made me really uncomfortable, at least of all, because my bed was right there across the courtyard in the other block. You told him you're uncomfortable. You told him you didn't like it. You should have whipped this guy's ass early on. He assured me nothing was going on, and remember that he was bisexual, verging more on the gay side. He was actually more interested in me than her. He says, bullshit. He never even made a pass at me. Incidentally, he recently had a baby brother, and had told us that he was going to try and make him turn out gay, so it'd be easier for him. Make of that what you will. I'm not going to touch that one. Yeah, I don't buy for a second this guy is bi or even gay, or more on the gay side. Whatever he wants to. That's just his cover. During this time, Matthew ended up in a relationship with another mutual female friend of ours, a sweet, innocent, naive girl who doesn't have a bad bone in her body. In a relationship with another girl. I thought, what happened to him being gay? Maybe it was convenient. Things were okay, but not great. She came to my brother's wedding and to my sister's, but I was growing increasingly paranoid because she wasn't spending as much time with me as I'd like. Oh, so now we can add that she's spending less and less time with you. And I'm guessing you're probably not hooking up very much at all. This is when you should have broken up with her. You should have broken up with her a long time ago. Guys, when this type of shit happens, it's one thing after another. End it. Move on. The problem is these guys, they can go through their whole lives with no attention from girls. They finally get a girl to pay attention to them and get some. He lost his virginity to her. And they could literally take a dump on their head and they'd still stay with the girl. Break up. But this is why guys need to have a mentor, a role model early on to teach them reality and how things are. Why guys need to work hard to build themselves up to have a self-esteem, self-worth, so when they're with someone that treats them like garbage, they break up with them. They don't stay with them thinking, this is as good as it's ever going to get. I don't want to be alone. It's better to be shit on and occasionally get laid than be alone. Right here. It says here, so I decided to take a look at her emails. Her email that I had set up a password to. Lo and behold, I found an email from her to Matthew with her boob hanging out with a fake nipple piercing say, "You like?" There you go. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. I didn't know what to do. Save the email for a future reference and dump her ass is what I'd do now. I ended up contacting our mutual friend Sarah Lou and told her what had been done and I'd seen and was all over the place. She was no help and I was left alone to figure it out for myself. What's to do? What's to figure out? Break up with her. My best guess is that Stephanie found out that I'd seen this email because not long after she broke up with me, saying she loves me but she's not in love with me. Whatever that BS means. Well, there is a difference, dude. This absolutely devastated me. First love and all that. I fell into a serious depression. I drank a lot. I bought a bunch of things I shouldn't mention this channel, etc., etc. But I didn't take one in the end. So there you go. After all this bullshit, finally she broke up with him because he was never going to do it. You can see that coming a mile away. And right they mentioned she was the first one. But you know what? She did you a favor, at least in the beginning. The week after, there was fairly a heavy snowstorm near me, where I'm from. I went to a small nearby mountain in nothing but a t-shirt and some flimsy trousers. To what end to this day, I don't even know. Maybe I want to die, but I can't say. I made it to the top of the mountain, and there, all alone, and the wind howling, let out the loudest primal screams I've ever done. Hey, you got to get out in nature and scream and yell. If that'll make you feel better, fine. But he was potentially thinking about ending it all. Over a chick? Over some asshole? Guys, life is... You get one shot, unless you can prove otherwise. And it's not worth it to let yourself be destroyed over any individual. All right? Things happen, but this guy made a lot of mistakes, but she's also an a-hole. And that Matthew dude, who clearly likes girls, is an a-hole too. I came back down the mountain, and I guess I went in a sort of fatigued state. I ended up at a local cafe with no idea what I was doing or why I was there. During all this time, of course, Matthew broke up with his girlfriend. Oh, what a coincidence. Amazing timing. Your girl breaks up with you. Matthew breaks up with his girlfriend. I'm guessing probably not for another dude. My buddies from my first year in university came to see me and console me. They took me out of the university club just to get me out. We had some drinks and I was having a good time. And then what do I see in the corner? Well, my ex with Matthew, his hands all over her. There you go. I was sobered up in an instant and pissed the rest of the night. Bear in mind, it had been maybe 2 weeks since she broke up with me. Well, now you know. Okay? And guess what? One a-hole, two different a-holes for each other, and you'll see where that whole thing goes. But sorry you went through that, but you got to learn the hard way. Red flags, guys. Checking a girl. Call her on a BS. Paying attention to her actions. The list goes on and on. Everything came into a sharp focus after that. All the stuff I detailed here, the red flags, and I had been an idiot the whole time. I got very angry and bitter. What pissed me off more was I had bought and paid for tickets and a hotel for us to go to a convention that her favorite TV actors are at. Sarah Lou would also tag along for her birthday. I'd held on to these in hope that maybe we get back together. Obviously not now. You bought a bunch of tickets and accommodations for the girl that broke up with you just to get her back, even though she's been treating you like shit all this time. Smack! That's nice guy shit. Now, obviously, back then you were Mr. Nice Guy and did what they showed you in the movies to do. Girl breaks out. Girl treats you like crap. You don't just keep being nice to her and doing gestures when she's treating you like crap. You do gestures on occasion when she's been loving and loyal and supportive and taking care of your needs and et cetera, et cetera. And certainly not after she breaks up with you and is hooking up with Matthew. These convention tickets were non-refundable, so I had no idea what to do. I contacted Sarah Lou and had her act as a mediator to get things sorted out. Stephanie would pay for the tickets and the hotel. She would share the double room with Sarah Lou, and I'd take Sarah Lou's single room. I was pissed that I was still stuck with this CUNT for a whole weekend, but I was glad I got my money back and figured the convention was big enough I could avoid her and ignore her most of the part, bar the journey there and back. Well, at least you get some of your money back. Her uncle died just before the convention, but she still decided to go. She tried to engage me in conversation, but I ignored her the whole time or walked away. Of course she wants to talk to you. When we got home, she launched into a rant at me of how I treated her, being an a-hole the whole time at the convention, especially after what happened to her uncle. Isn't she the one who's been treating you like crap all this time and cheating on you this whole time and dumped you for Matthew, amongst many other things? Why should you be nice to her? But of course, you're the villain. I simply told her about how she treated me for the last 6+ months, and I owed her nothing after what she did to me. Good job, you're finally acting like a man here. After that, for the most part, that was that. She did play up the "he was an a-hole" at the convention card for sympathy among our friends, which led me to believe all this behavior flaunting things in front of me was a deliberate play to get me to break up with her so she could get maximum sympathy in our friend group. Probably. The problem was that you never had the balls to break up with her. You never had the self-worth to kick her to the curb when you're seeing her in the covers with that dude hanging out with him all the time. So finally, after enough shit went on, and she was pulling more and more shit, so finally she broke up with you, but still could milk the sympathy thing from the friend groups. The whole debacle ended up splitting our friend group to the point that people couldn't organize things for fear we'd both be there, her with the guy she cheated on me with in tow. More of the group sided with her, shocker, and I lost most of those friendships even after I detailed, as I have in this letter, everything that went on. That's usually how it happens, because people are inclined to believe the girl over the guy. That's why. And you know what? Anybody that does that type of crap, guys, like you have a situation where a girl breaks up with you, she does you wrong, but somehow things are twisted and lied to make you have to be a bad guy, and people buy into it, fuck them. They're done. At least you now know where you stand with these people. Better to be alone or have a couple of friends, but ones you can trust, versus a bunch of people that you're really not quite sure where you stand with them. I later found out from friends that her mom was actually the notorious town bike. And the only reason she married was that she ended up pregnant, and abortion was not so easy to get in our country at that time. Seems the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. How interesting that this girl, Stephanie the SLUT you called her, your first girlfriend, whose mom was super strict and all that, was the town bicycle. Imagine that. Because she could obviously see in her daughter things that she did. So time had passed now, we come on to the second part of my story. I dated another girl after the lying, cheating SLUT, but amicably broke up with her because we just weren't compatible. Then I'm dating Sarah Lou, the mutual friend from before, henceforth known as Sarah Loser. Here we go, another one. His journey and learning about girls. Again, I should have seen the red flags with this one, but I'm stupid, etc. Obviously didn't see the red flags. Didn't learn about red flags yet. When I've been dating Stephanie, Sarah Lou had been seeing a buddy of mine. This buddy had contacted me a few times for relationship advice, and she was his first girlfriend too. One question he asked that I found odd and should have recalled before dating this girl was, how often do you go out on dates? I told him the normal amount, like any couple, every weekend, and I was home from university. Stephanie was still in high school, living with her parents at the time, or 2 to 3 times a week when I was on holiday from university. He told me he barely went on dates with Sarah Lou because she was always flaking on him. Well, that tells me about Sarah Lou's personality and behavior. I did advise him, if he wasn't getting what he wanted out of the relationship, he should speak up or leave. Hang on, you were giving relationship advice? No offense, man. And speak up or leave. You didn't do that with your ex, but maybe this is after when you learn something. I gotta call you on that. I should have remembered this myself before dating this girl. I ended up in a relationship with this girl, Sarah Lou, if you could even call it a relationship. Like my buddy, in the 8 months we were together, we barely went out on a date. She was always sleeping because all she did all night was sit on her phone, tablet, laptop, being a Tumblrite. You spent 8 months with this girl and you hardly went out with her, and therefore probably hardly ever had any of the SCX. What the hell are you in a relationship for? But then again, back in those days, didn't have a lot of experience, didn't have this knowledge, and obviously didn't think too highly of yourself, so you took what you could get. This online addiction was mostly due to the fact that she had nothing going on for her in life. It's usually how it works. She dropped out of high school with no GCSEs, similar to the American high school diploma, at 16 and having barely attended school because of bullying, giving her agoraphobia. This didn't stop her going out to have fun with her friends through or to sci-fi conventions, so BS, she was just lazy. The few times we were on dates were mostly with her friends and not alone. And the few times we were alone, she spent most of the time on her devices, swooning over whoever the teen heartthrob of the time was, probably Robert Pattinson or Daniel Radcliffe. Heartthrob, Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, you gotta be shitting me. My family really wanted to meet this girl that I was seeing. I'd make plans to bring her over, but on the day I couldn't get a response from her on the phone. She texted me the next day all apologetic, saying she'd been asleep all day because she stayed up late last night because she couldn't sleep and her phone went on silent. So you're having another girl that's completely jerking you around and ghosting you and blowing you off, not in a good way, and all those other things, and you're still staying with her and still putting up with it. See, guys? This is what guys don't learn these things from other people. They got to keep learning the hard way. You know, it's one thing that's the first time with the first girlfriend, but you're repeating the same behavior again. I got to point these things out. This is how people learn. I called her out on this behavior and told her I wasn't happy with it. That's it. She just said, that's it. This is not working. We're done. Have a nice life. She says she'd try to do better, and for a while she did. Does her actions communicate she's really into this guy? Does her actions communicate she's really attracted to him, into him, all that? No, not at all. Now I knew if she ever wanted anything, all she had to do was go to her parents and ask for it, being an only child and adopted. So I preempted this for her Valentine's Day present trip to see a show in the West End I knew she wanted to see. I contacted her mum and told her under no circumstances buy tickets for said show. I'd already bought them and was going to give them as a gift to her. Why are you buying her gifts when she's done nothing, in my opinion, based on the story, to deserve any gifts? You're rewarding her crappy behavior. As far as I knew, this all went according to plan. When she got the gift, she was overjoyed, hugging me hard and saying she loved me so much. Well, she can show her gratitude by doing other things. I later found out that she had gone to her mum and told her she wanted these tickets. Her mum obviously told her no. It descended into an argument, and her mum had to tell her I bought the tickets. Her reaction was an act, and this behavior showed her up to be the spoiled, selfish narcissist I should have known she was. Well, again, back to trusting your gut. If you knew something was up with her, you shouldn't have gotten involved with her. And if you discovered it later, you should have broken up with her. Now, woulda, coulda, shoulda, it was in the past, but we're learning here. She slipped back into her behavior of non-communication or making plans and flaking out because she was asleep. Was she a stoner? Was she always smoking and falling asleep all the time? Or was there other things going on? I even went over once to pick her up for a date when she was home, and she told me on the doorstep she couldn't go because she'd only just woke up. I'd say, get in the fucking shower, clean up, get dressed, we're going out. But again, why you're still with her after all this, I'll never understand. But actually, I do understand. Low self-worth, low self-esteem. There is a pattern here, gentlemen. This is why I encourage you guys to build yourself up so you don't have the low self-esteem. And therefore, you won't have people like this in your life. And if someone does come into your life like this, you instantly kick them to the curb, not thinking, this is as good as it's going to get. I'd rather be with a crappy girlfriend than be alone. Now, of course, I encourage you guys to become the best you can be and build yourselves up, not so you can get girls. I do it for yourself first, for your own happiness and enjoyment out of life. But if you're in a dating relationship, this will help you. Eventually, she moved to London to start doing a creative writing course that she had been accepted into. Oh, for goodness sake. Given the state of our relationship anyway, with the lack of physical intimacy, I figured it may not be any different, so we'll try long distance. Smack. I should have probably smacked you about 20 other times before here, but I guess I'm off today. Notice he said lack of physical intimacy, so you're not getting any. Why the hell are you wasting any time with her? I visited her once and had to sleep on the sofa, and she barely showed any excitement or emotion about me being there, but was all too happy for me to take her to restaurants for food, given she was a broke-ass student living off handouts from her mom and dad. So you're sleeping on the couch? Is that what you said here? and no interest until you're taking her out to eat and she can get you to buy her things. I had enough and dumped her ass shortly after when she came home for the holidays. Hallelujah, it's a Christmas miracle. About fucking time. I realize now that in all likelihood she was asexual and like my buddy, she was never going to have a physical relationship with her. Well, maybe that's a possibility, or just in no way, shape, or form was she interested in you, and because she kept pulling bullshit and you kept putting up with it and staying there, any smidgen of attraction she may have had was all gone because of how you acted. So, what is of my life right now? Thank the Lord we're at the end here. Now we're going to find out he's doing better and learned. Well, as I said, the start of the story, I found your channel because of my wife. So yes, I got married. Well, I'm assuming that obviously went a lot better with your wife by the time you met her. I dated another gal after Sarah Loser, another Stephanie. Broke up with her because we weren't compatible. Weren't compatible? Let me guess. She wasn't showing up for dates and no hooking up. And I'm assuming she wasn't under the covers of somebody else. I'm from a middle-class family, and she was so working class it would never have worked. What with an alcoholic, druggy brother who smashed up the house on a regular basis, and a mother who just sounded like she was drunk all the time who had no teeth. Yeah, you weren't compatible. The thought of being with her depressed me to the point that I had suicidal dreams, so that ended very quickly. You certainly had a habit in your youth for picking them, huh? I thought I was done with dating and accepted I was just going to be alone the rest of my life. I started cycling more to get my fitness up and kept working at my job, all the while shooting for better prospects. Well, good. I'm glad you were exercising and you were on your grind at work and moving up in the world. Very good. That's what you should do. That's what all guys should do. Then on Valentine's Day, at a dinner organized by the local Humanist Association, I met the woman who would be my wife. I'll spare you the full details of our courtship and just give you the Cliff Notes version. Thank you. I appreciate that. We dated for a while before becoming exclusive, then moved in together. Did all the things you're supposed to do as a couple to test if you're compatible, going on holidays together, building IKEA furniture, that sort of stuff. There's a test to see if you and a girl are compatible after a while. I never mentioned that. Build some furniture, or better yet, move some furniture. You want to see if you guys are going to last. Try moving a couch through the house or up and down some stairs. If you guys are even speaking to each other after that, there's a chance. Add that to the moving in with a girl at the final stage to see if you could be together. Move some furniture together. Or build some furniture. Tell you everything you need to know. After living together for a year, we both knew we were completely compatible. We held the same values, goals, and interests. We never fought, and the only arguments we had were over nerdy shit that didn't really matter. To this day, we still have never had an argument. Well, I'd be careful there. There shouldn't be any drama. But you're going to have disagreements from time to time. So I hope that if ever she's having a bad day and takes it out on you, not intentionally, but takes it out on you, you're going to stand up for yourself. And there's nothing wrong having disagreements. You can't have two people living together and not have disagreements from time to time. When I hear people never fight, that's usually a bad sign. But I hope I'm wrong in this case, or maybe you're not explaining it enough. But if your wife likes my channel, then obviously she's different, and she's probably cool, because generally the women that hate my channel are not cool. And maybe she sent you here to learn a few things. I don't know. But just keep that in mind. I proposed and we married a year later. Although 3 weeks before our wedding, I screwed up royally and ended up getting fired from my job, but being a calm, rational woman, she stuck with me. She was the breadwinner on a good salary up to this point, so we were able to cope. We saw the wedding through, and for me to come home to a job interview 2 weeks after our honeymoon for a high-paying dream job I managed to nail. Awesome, it worked out. Well, that says a lot about her, that, okay, you lost your job before the wedding, but she wasn't going to kick you to the curb. A lot of gals would. You're able to get back on your feet, and you got an even better paying job. Good for you. We recently celebrated our 6-year anniversary with a family holiday, just us and our 3-year-old daughter, who we plan to raise not to be like the thoughts and bees you talk about in your videos. Bro, yes, do not let her become like that. Raise her well. Traditional, conservative values, all that. And make it clear when she's old enough that that type of the behavior that goes on with the young gals nowadays will not be acceptable in your household. No freaking way. Keep her ass off social. She's 3 years old now. I don't know what's going to be around in 10 years, but at that point you'll know what to make sure she doesn't do. And have a balance, Be good to her, show her what a good man can be, what a good relationship is with you and your wife, be her rock, all that. But don't put up with any shit. You'll figure it out. It says here, and what of the 2 wasted time that I'm glad I got rid of? He says, well, one of my buddies did some cyber stalking and found out that Stephanie, the lying cheat, dropped out of university, got engaged to that guy who ended up working as a butcher's assistant. So university served him well. That the engagement broke down, I don't know any regards to that, and she's back living at home with her mom. Her father died of cancer, and she's working as a dispenser in a pharmacy, not earning a terrible lot. She's not a successful life for her so far. So Stephanie, the cheater with Matthew, drops out of school, gets engaged to him. That broke off. Now she's living at home with her mom. And since you're about 40, she's probably in her late 30s. Says here, as for Sarah Loser, she dropped out of the writing course, was going to be a vlogger, then a blogger, both of which dropped off real quick. Moved back home. Lived off mom and dad for a while, picking up courses and dropping out. Regularly attending a therapist, believe me, she needs one. Claiming to have ADHD, undiagnosed obviously. Put on a lot of weight, and claiming to be the owner of a business, when in reality she's just doing pet projects that likely don't pay the bills, and spends most of the money on makeup or going to Disneyland multiple times a year. Well, you definitely dodged a bullet on 2 of these girls, dude. So, total failure to launch Peter Pan syndrome. I detailed all this and how great my life has gotten since a few years back on a journaling site everyone used when we were angsty teenagers, adults back in the early 2000s. Just as a way to document it should anybody actually care about the truth. No one had used this site in decades, but serendipity is clearly a thing because the douchebag ex of my first ex commented on my post a few days later. Trying to tell me that it's been so long, it shouldn't be affecting me now, and if it is, I should maybe see a therapist, and I must not be over it. That I'm entitled to my pain, but had no right to drag people's names into it. Also, that posting this wasn't fair to Stephanie, Sarah Lou, or my wife, like he actually knows anything about me, blah, 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 and I'm just having a whinge, not getting the revenge I think I am. Also, that I should ignore his advice because of things how they were in the past with us. And then anonymously someone, I suspect Stephanie, because of the language and phrasing, commented saying I doth protest too much and I'm clearly not happy and still a pathetic cocksplat. Reads like someone who knows they effed up, but they could have had a better life and is jealous. Well, I'm going to say this, dude. It does seem to me that you still are bitter about things that happened 20 years ago. I got no problem with someone has an issue with something that happened 2 decades ago. Sure, and you learn from it. I mean, I had people that did me wrong 20 years ago. I'm not bitter about it, so they could have a point. So you do need, if that is the case, you do need to get over it. You can learn about your mistakes. You have enemies from the past, but eventually you become indifferent and say, hey, whatever. So keep that in mind. So that's my story. I sent it to you in the hopes that it'll help other guys not make the mistakes that I made. I should have trusted my instincts. They exist for a reason. And that's why I'd say to other guys now, even if you're naive in the ways of relationships and girls, your instincts will always serve you well. Yes, exactly. I guarantee you his instincts, his gut told him when things weren't right. But because obviously he had a low self-esteem, low opinion of himself when he was young, didn't have the role models necessary to teach him some things, that he couldn't stand up for himself. And so this is what I really want guys to do. I spent a long time healing, and I got the closure I need, if not exactly what I want. That would be lying. That would be that the lying SLUT admits what she did publicly to our friends, and that I was right and did nothing wrong. And for that Sarah Loser to complain about how shitty a girlfriend and a person she is, and she deserves to die alone and a virgin. Okay. Well, anyway, bro, I actually, now reading the last part there, it's been 20 years. You need to get over this shit. Your exes don't need to admit publicly what they did and all that because, yes, they were a-holes, and yes, they were young, but still, that was 20 years ago. So you need to get over it, all right? You're married now. It sounds like you got a cool wife, good career, daughter you love. Let that shit go. You can learn from it, and people here can learn from your stories and mistakes, but it's time to move on, okay? And if you haven't, maybe that's why your wife sent you here. I don't know, but time to move on from that bullshit and enjoy the good life you have and keep practicing all the things you learn about in this channel. Be the leader in your marriage. Be the leader of your family. Take care of them. Keep aiming to do something better with yourself. Keep in shape. Be a good husband. Make sure she's a good wife. Raise your daughter well. And all should be well. And learn from your mistakes. And the things that happen when you're younger can be applied to your life right now, to friends and family and coworkers and clients and all that. Same thing. When your gut tells you something's off, trust it. Look for red flags. Stand up for yourself. Cut people out of your life that bring drama and turmoil. But don't hold a fucking grudge 20 years later. Move on. Again, I have people that did me wrong 20-some years ago, and I'm sure I'm not holding a grudge. End of story. Why let them do that to you? Seriously. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know, guys, if you had situations like this when you were younger, made mistakes, did you learn from them? I'd like to hear about that. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.